Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is me, once again, screaming into the void of the internet. I kind of make this video, not necessarily entirely response to a comment, but, I didn't really expect my last video to, garner a bit of traction, because I guess that there are just people that just listen to my random ramblings and stuff like that, But I do kind of want to clarify something. I'm not someone of importance. I'm not some guy out here trying to air quotes, make a difference in the world or anything like that. I'm just me talking about things that are irritating and trying to keep myself sane. I mainly do these for myself. There was another comment from someone a bit ago that said that they feel like I make these to talk to people, but I don't. I'm not really someone who really needs companionship like that. I really just talk to get this stuff out of my head and to get this out of my system. And if someone listens, then that's fine. If someone doesn't listen, that's fine, because this is mainly just a video diary, if you will, for myself. I don't really go back and rewatch them unless someone makes a comment and then I listen to what I said and whatnot, because I want to make sure that I'm good. At least I'm getting the message that I felt that I wanted to get across. But I kind of want to talk about something, because the comment that, this one individual made, I think they got the wrong impression of me, in the sense that they think that when I said don't be a hero and stuff like that, they think that, for me, I'm a very incentive-based person, or, materialistic, for that matter. And I kind of want to say this right now. I'm not materialistic at all. I don't really think people need to defend themselves, and I'm not really defending myself, but I'm just kind of, trying to give you a bit more insight into, a bit about who I am. I'm not very materialistic, I say this in previous videos, my idea of happiness isn't, tons of money. It isn't tons of women banging a different gal every night. It's not some huge family. It's just being happy. I would like the ability to be happy without having to be happy in the middle of a storm. I know how to be content during a storm, and I'm relatively content. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not miserable in a certain aspect, but I'm also going to take my victories. I have clothes on my back, I have food in my belly, and so far, no one has tried to break into my house to bash my heads in, so, I'm going to take victories where I can, because my God does give you plenty of L's, right? But for me, one of the most important goals in my life right now is to find a way to just be content. And for me, again, that's not with a lot of money, that's not with some huge family, women, or anything. It's just, I would like to know that I have somewhere that's mine. I'm self-sufficient for the most part. I don't need the state. That's what I want for me, Just a humble little place to call my own. Away from all this cancer, away from the nonsense, away from the ratchets, the ghettos, the unsavories, as they say, That's what I want. I'm not a very materialistic person. Incentives, I know I talked about incentives driving behavior in the video, and they definitely do. I'm not going to pretend like they don't. But for me, it's never really been about the reward that I get. But I do think that there should at least be a perception of, the understanding of sacrifice that is made when someone chooses to put their life on the line for another person. And we're in a day and age where even understanding something like that is considered, very difficult for some reason. It's very difficult to understand that, hey, listen, this person risked their lives for you, or this person might have died for you. And back in the day, you lived in a time period where people would announce that, I want to thank this person because without them I wouldn't have my life. And, people would break down because of the sacrifice that someone else made. And you're in a day and age now where, again, you can look at someone who essentially risked their life for you and protected you from an awful event, and you'll just walk right over his body like it's nothing. And that's why I say, you know, like, in good conscience, I can't tell any man, you know, who feels that, okay, listen, F this, I'm gonna look out for me, or at least people who are, like, close to me and stuff like that. I can't tell him that that's the wrong choice, because in my opinion, it's the right choice. It's the only choice. You know, a lot of people often say that you're as good as the world allows you to be. And I'd say that that's both true and false, because like I mentioned, you know, I do think that people know what's up. They know what's up, you know. Don't think that if a cartel member gets executed by, like, the cops, that he really thinks that, you know, he was in the wrong. Don't think that. Not in the wrong, but he was in the right. If they were fine with what they were doing, they do it out in the open, you know? I'm gonna say it like this, okay? Like, the world's not nice, and situations around you do shape who you are. You know, are you a product of your environment? I want to say yes and no. Because yes, if that's what's around you, it's gonna mold you. But you also, at a certain age, can choose to continue to imbibe that or pursue something else. I am a product of the ghetto. But you don't hear me saying nigga, 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 bitch, 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 you know, ho, 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 slut. I don't listen to rap, you know. I don't really like anything about my so-called community, right? I despise the mental state of most of these people. And I know I say that we should be thankful for stuff, but I freaking hear something. I hope someone's not about to try and break in somebody's house. You know, I hear a loud noise, and that's just another reason why, you know, I'm not really a person that's, like, big on this stuff, you know, like, you have to choose at a certain point how you're going to behave. You have to choose how you're going to act, and, you know, if people like you, they like you. And if they don't like you, then they don't like you. But there's nothing you can really do about that. You can't really make someone, you know, like, you can't make them accept you, you know. And I know that this video is kind of, like, a little all over the place, because I kind of just want to make this to respond to the comment. I didn't really have anything I wanted to talk about today. Sometimes I'm like that, you know, sometimes I get a lot out of my system for a minute, and maybe you can tell sometimes, because, like, I know some videos you can tell that I'm a bit more passionate, and others I'm a lot more relaxed, because I'm telling you, you should try this yourself. It's very therapeutic. Because it's not about, like, having someone stroke your ego or something like that, but, you know, you shouldn't need to go to a therapist and pay, like, freaking $500 an hour for some cocksucker to pretend to give rat's arse about your problems and stuff like that, you know. But I'm just gonna say it like this, okay? Like, we as men have been put in a position where no one really appreciates the sacrifice that we make, and no one really cares. And no matter how much you scream at them to care, they're not going to care. And you have to get to a certain point where you just say, all right, listen, I can't make this person care, but I can, you know, choose to respond appropriately. And simple. Stop giving them your help. Stop giving them your okay. Stop giving them the ability to use you and manipulate you. And so what if they think you're a villain? Again, why does it matter? You lose either way. You do the right thing and you can lose. You do the wrong thing and you can lose. So why should you even bother? You know? Why should you even bother? Because I was talking to my friend about this. I feel like men are so misunderstood in the sense that, like, ideally, I think men are just, like, naturally, like, some of the most generous people you'll ever come across. But the reason why we don't show that is because when we did show that, we got played. And so if you're smart, you know, you learn from it and you don't do it. But to those who we, like, can trust, or at least are in a position where we can trust them, hopefully, and they don't betray that trust, we're often very generous to them. We do the best that we can and look out for them. My friend looks out for me. I look out for him where I can, and, you know, I hope I get this job that I'm looking at, because I definitely do want to repay him for a lot of the stuff he's done for me. You know, like, we often pay it back. This idea that, like, you know, male's nature is violent and stuff like that. You know, I laugh at that, because realistically speaking, if we're all, like, as violent as they say we are, like, why would there be a so-called, like, sexual starvation epidemic? You know, wouldn't we just be going around just grabbing people? Not that I advocate for that, I'm just proving a point. Japan legalized pedo bears. You know, you can get you a call girl as young as 13 in Japan. Why are the guys still choosing not to mess with them? I'll tell you why. Because people are not like that. There is the image that you have of a person, and then there's how that person is. There's the image that you have of a thought. Or, I guess, I don't know, like an idea, right? Take God, for instance, right? A lot of people in the West hate the idea of God because the idea of God that has been projected through so-called Christians, you know, is this very tyrannical, ignorant, egotistical bastard, right? Floating on a cloud, sky daddy crap. When if you actually do the research yourself, that's not what it is at all. Not that I'm trying to get, you know, spiritual in here, stuff like that, but the guy did mention, you know, that we're passing through, and I agree, you know, we're all passing through. Thank God we are, because I don't really understand why anyone would be stupid enough. Yes, stupid, and I don't like calling people names like that all the time, but if you wanted immortality in this world, you have to be a moron. You have to be. Even if you were the richest man on earth, think about it for a minute. Let's say you get uploaded in a digital computer or something like that. So while you're getting uploaded, do you trust that they're not going to F you? Do you trust that they're not going to screw with you? Do you trust that they're not going to mess with your money? And if they did mess with it and then you get uploaded and you get reawakened, what the heck you going to do? What can you do? Like, yeah. You know, like people have such a weird way of seeing things. Like, listen, I'd argue for the most part that this world, really, the way that it's set up, only benefits a very, very small, select few people. It's not that everyone else's life here is meaningless, but in the way that the system is operated, the system only benefits a very select amount of people. It does the bare minimum to make, like, you know, majority of the people think that it's, like, useful, but it's not. It's not even close. And you can see this, because, like, look, the wage differences, you know, between people is astronomical. The person who's massively benefiting gets screwed, and then, you know what they tell you? Oh, suck it up, you need to find a trade, or this, that, and the other. And I just laugh at that, because I'm like, it just proves that, listen, they don't want most people to win. They want the status, they want the hierarchy, and it's just typical humans being humans. So I just say, hey, listen, it's set up in a way to where people have to lose so that these people benefit. It's kind of like this thing that Madara said, you know, from Naruto. The world, the way that it's set up is, in order for there to be winners, there have to be losers. You know? And, you know, I kind of want to talk about that for a minute, because it was the whole, like, Cypher from the Matrix thing, as well as that, but I feel like they always have to have instances where they make the so-called villain have, like, a issue in their plan, you know? Could you imagine if they didn't turn into, like, the whole Zetsu crap and they just had their ideal world? What would be wrong with that, then? Why would you try and force someone to exist in the real world when their lives in the real world are objectively worse, when they could be happy, you know, in their dream world? Something worth asking, you know? A lot of people say that, hey, I want the reality, and I'm like, you know, to be honest, I thought that way as well. But if there's a choice, like, if you could choose, like, no one would ideally, even if it's like, because listen, I'm someone that can look at the world and accept the world and navigate it as best as I can. But I don't think anyone in their right frame of mind would, idealistically speaking, choose this world, because they know what it's done to them, and it hasn't been pretty. It's not very pretty to most people, you know. I've always said, like, if I could be in a world, what world would I want to be in? And I immediately jump and I say Pokemon. And people say, oh, why would you want to be in Pokemon? You know, like, some people say, I want to be in Dragon Ball Z, I want to this, and you know what, I want to be in Pokemon. Because I'd have creatures there that could still relate to me, that could make me probably a lot more happier than most humans have ever made me. You know, I've always liked animals, and considering that Pokemon are literally sentient and stuff like that, you know, it would be nice to know that you had something that you could rely on that had less of a likelihood to betray you know? Because I'm gonna just be honest, you know, like, we don't exactly have the biggest track record of loyalty as humanity. You know, we're always screwing each other over for the most mundane of things, resources that don't mean anything, you know, land that most of us don't even get to have. So, I mean, think about it. Think about the wars that have been fought for land and how many people, like, actually had land, right? So rulers said, oh, we need more land. And then the peasants, what did they get? Did they get massive acres and farms? Nope, they didn't. If they did, it's because the rulers wanted them to work it, but not really because they owned it, because the rulers owned it, not them. Look at who owns the land right now, like even in this country, in America, right? Do you own the land? Nope. You still pay the property taxes? Yep. But don't pay them, watch what happens. I don't really think anyone would choose to live in a world like this. And I don't really think that means that it's because they can't handle reality. They just know that reality is very disappointing. And if they could shape reality, that it would not be in a position where they're helpless. Because I'd say this, even if I was in Pokemon, I would still want power. Not like fake power, like money and stuff. I'm talking like actual power. Like some of my favorite powers in fiction are like, ability-wise, the Guardians from Destiny. And weapon-wise, like the Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts. If I could have that, I'd be perfect in Pokemon. Not that I'd be living there like a god or anything, I'd really want the ability to just tell everything to just F off at certain times, you know? Because that's usually the reason why you're often feeling miserable and subjugated, because you feel like there is a weight on you that you can't shake off, because they don't want you to shake it off, because they want you to be oppressed, so. It's often very annoying when you have that feeling, you know? But again, you know, for me, I'm not very materialistic. I'm not a very incentive-based person. You know, money doesn't mean anything to me. You know, having a long life doesn't mean anything to me, especially in a world like this, like I said, you know. I'm not a doomer. And I know a lot of people just can't believe that when they hear it, because of the way that I talk, but I'm not a doomer, you know. But I'm also not going to sugarcoat crap. I'm not going to be, like, blindly optimistic to the point where it's just delusional. You know, I'm not going to lie to myself or anyone else about that. But for me, I think a lot of guys are beginning to realize that, you know, like, more than anything, we just want to be okay. And we're in a day and age right now where we're not. And so when I tell guys to, you know, take more control of the reins in your life, it puts you at odds with a lot of other people, because this entire world is usually built on the disposability of men. You know? Shut up, work this dangerous job, die in it, whatever. Doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah, you're just some dumb arse husband. You're my starter husband. I'll just get someone new. Yeah, he's just some stupid boyfriend I was using to get money. You know, you're nothing. Oh, it was just a fella. He did what he was supposed to do, and he protected this woman, and he died. At least he wasn't completely useless. You know, like, this entire world is built on our disposability. And I'd say it's about time that a lot of us just say, you know what? I am going to be the foremost thought in my life. And even if I don't like my life, there might be someone that, you know, I'm looking out for. And if I don't look out for me, then I'm essentially not looking out for them either. You know? I know, my friend has personally told me, in a lot of ways, like, I don't know what I would do without you. Because we love each other. Not like that, you sick bastards. But that's something that a lot of guys don't really have. They don't have, like, a good brother, whether it's blood or otherwise, that they can relate to. And I can be completely honest, you know, if my friend, if something did happen to it, God forbid it, you know, I don't really know what I'd do. Because that is another incentive for me, I guess. Like, if I was ever successful, I'd just share life with him. I'd just be my bro for the rest of our lives. And so if something happened to him, I don't really think I'd really care anymore. You know? I really don't. That's why I tell guys, listen, man, like, life is already hard on us as it is. Like, don't take putting yourself in the forefront as a villainous thing. And there might be people that get the wrong idea that, you know, like, I'm telling you to be a complete bastard or something like that. Now, there are seasons where you should be. I'm a jaded bastard, I'll admit that. I can be jaded. I'm cold. I will admit that. But not without reason. Does this mean that I can look at very very, very unjust situations and not do anything? Yes, but it depends. You know, there's a freaking kid involved, I'm probably going to do something. If it's some random chick on the street, I'm not doing nothing. Now, speaking on spirituality, like, will God look at me for that? Yeah, he's probably going to have some words, but you know what? At the same time, here's the thing. I'll tell you this right now. God is not an idiot. You know, I know a lot of people think he is, but he's not an idiot. And don't you think for a minute that he thinks that the way that we handle law is fine and just. And at a certain point, yes, you have to, like, look out for yourself first. And that book even says that. He says, you know, don't try and look after my house if your house isn't in order. And if you try and handle someone else's problem, essentially in today's day and age, you will find yourself getting screwed over. And then your house is essentially going to be out of order. You know, the way that the law tells you to deal with things and the way that the Lord will have you deal with things are very different. And it's a lot more just, if you ask me. You know, freaking pedo bears getting stoned, if you ask me, seems very, very reasonable. Instead of, oh, let's just lock them up and study their brain and learn from them and blah, blah, blah. You know, and whereas the guy that freaking ends the bastard, oh no, that was so evil. He was so excessive. You gotta look at what the world wants. And if the world is defending pedo bears, if they're defending the criminals, then they must want the criminals to have more rights, right? So it is only natural that we say, yeah, I'm not gonna get involved. I don't see nothing. And I don't care who gets offended because, hey, it is what it is. I gotta look out for me. I might have a family I'm looking out for. I might be looking after my mom or my sister, cousin, nephew, whatever. Even if it's just myself, listen. Gotta look out for who you are. You gotta protect your life because it's hard enough as it is these days, right? So, I kind of just want to clarify that. You know, nothing against this guy, and it's not really like an attack or anything. Because, like I said, I don't really need someone to agree with me or anything, you know. I'm happy that he disagrees. I'm happy that he kind of is trying to clarify that, you know, I need to be kept relatively. I need to think about, like, more about the fact that, hey, listen, you know, sure, you know, you might get, like, riches or something, because that's at least what they were alluding to, like, that I'm kind of putting the worldly possessions first, but it's not really what it was, you know, but, like, don't lose your soul in the process, and I get that, I agree, you know, don't get so jaded that you just don't care. You know, if I could lose anything, I'd rather lose my heart than my soul. So I'd rather be a cold bastard, but I'd rather still keep my soul, you know, in the process, so, yeah. I think I will just end it there, folks, you know, just a little, relatively short one, in the grand scheme. Didn't really have too much that I wanted to talk about, just kind of clearing up the waters. I'm actually fairly surprised that that video randomly got, you know, like 30 plus views, considering the fact that, I mean, listen, I'm literally some idiot with a phone in the dark talking, and for some reason YouTube just put that out there, so yeah, whatever. Hope you enjoyed. God bless. I'll see you in the next one.